Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And I just want to talk for a few minutes about the New Orleans Saints joint practice that took place on Thursday with the Los Angeles Rams. What were the takeaways and what are my thoughts on the practice? But before we get started, I ask that you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get into it. This was a anticipated practice. We know that the New Orleans Saints have been trying to find a team that they can have a joint practice with this training camp season, and the Los Angeles Rams accepted the invitation. And I thought that this was a really good litmus test for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, you don't have to like the Rams, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Saints fans out there that don't. I mean, we know about what happened in 2018. Look, I'm not trying to get everybody all riled up, but the Rams are a good football team. They're a good, talented team. Everybody is looking for the Rams to possibly be one of the teams that's there in the end. So this was a good opportunity for the Saints to kind of measure themselves up and see the direction they were going in. But there were a few takeaways from this, and I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about a couple of them. Number one was the defense. The defense seems like they are going to be the catalyst for this team. It seems like they're going to be the ones that is going to carry this football team. And, I started to see that in training camp. Some people may thought, it's just the defense, the offense is just so bad. It's just making the defense look good. I think that this defense is going to be really good. You're seeing players fly around the field. And the most positive thing about all this is we're hearing young players making plays. We're seeing players that we are counting on to possibly be cornerstone players for the team making plays. I mean, Isaiah Stallberg, he flashed during this practice. You had Demario Davis, Pete Warner, even though they're not the young players, they're flashing. Chase Young, who you just signed to a 3-year deal, he was all over the field. There were talks that said that he should have had like 3 sacks in his practice. Those are the type of things that you want to hear. You want to hear about Jordan Howden catching interceptions, someone that a lot of Saints fans are looking to make an impact. I mean, he's been with the team for a couple of years now, and now that the Honey Badger is gone, he learned under the Honey Badger. This is opportunity. And also Julian Blackman. The Saints signed him a couple of weeks ago, and it seemed like it was the right decision. This guy's a ball hawk. He's extremely smart, and he's going to help the New Orleans Saints secondary. So these are the type of things that you want to hear. The defense making plays, the defense, making stops. And, I know that this wasn't Matthew Stafford out there. It probably would have been a different type of ball game, but taking advantage of those opportunities and flashing when necessary. Devon Godshaw, he's supposed to be the big guy in the middle, the one that's making sure that the run defense is top notch. You're hearing these players making plays, and that's a positive thing. Let's go ahead and switch gears and talk about something that is not so positive, and that is the offensive line. Look, I'm not going to overreact because I feel like that would be hypocrisy on my part because I have this wait and see approach, and I've been advocating for people to have a wait and see approach. But I am getting a tad bit concerned about this offensive line. Now, it's still preseason. It's still early. You can fix these things, but I'm wondering to myself, how can you fix this? How can you really fix this offensive line? I'm not concerned about the young guys on the team, the Calvin Banks and the Talese Fuagas. I'm concerned about the interior of the Saints offensive line. The Saints offensive line has got to get its act together. You got young quarterbacks that are trying to be leaders of this team, that are trying to carry this team and trying to do their part. And the last thing the New Orleans Saints need is for their offensive line to just look like slaw. I mean, they couldn't run the ball during practice. It took way too long in order for them to gain any type of yardage. And, it's wishful thinking to believe that you're going to have Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler go out there and throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns and lead the Saints to the division title or the playoffs. That's just not happening without a really good offensive line. I thought that the offensive line got its act together because during the offseason, all we heard was about continuity and how it's the same usual suspects. And all these guys are just playing together and they're working on chemistry. And all that stuff sounded good. But between what happened with the Chargers and now with the Rams, I am a little bit concerned about this offensive line. But they got to figure this thing out, man, because without this offensive line finding success, the Saints aren't going anywhere. But there were some bright spots on the offense. You had Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson was a go-to target. He was making plays, and it seemed like he was virtually unstoppable during practice. That is what you want to hear also, because we've been talking about how the Saints need that big body receiver. They need somebody that is going to be able to move the chains on third down, somebody they can count on in the red zone. This is where Juwan Johnson can find his niche. And the Saints are going to need him to make plays just like he did in practice if they're going to be successful offensively in a passing game, especially when they need those tough yardage. They're going to need a Juwan Johnson. Also, Spencer Rattler connection with Rashid Shaheed down the field. Rashid Shaheed looks like he's back. He looks like he's put on weight. He put on muscle, and he can run. Everybody knows he can do that. He is a guy who is a deep threat, and I expect for him to make big plays for the New Orleans Saints, so that was a good thing. Also, Mason Tipton, showing that it's not just practice. He's actually doing it against other teams. He had the 54-yard touchdown in the game versus the Chargers, and he made plays during practice. Look, taking advantage of these opportunities when they present themselves is key. This is how Mason Tipton is going to rise up the depth chart. And right now, outside of Olave, Shaheed, and Cooks, who is going to be that number 4 guy? Who's going to be a part of that rotation? Mason Tipton is making a case for himself to be a part of this offense. But all in all, from what I took away from this practice is the New Orleans Saints still need some work. You look at the quarterbacks, they did some good things. There were some things you can build on, but there are also some things that you can actually work on. Tyler Shough had his moments, and so did Spencer Rattler. But regardless to whoever is the quarterback, we have to admit, both of these guys are giving it their all. They're giving the Who Dat Nation, the organization, their teammates, everything that they have. And they're making it extremely tough for the organization and these head coaches to make the decision on who is going to be the starter in week 1. And that's the best case scenario, because whatever decision the Saints make, that quarterback that is the odd man out can look back and say, I gave it my all, because both of these guys are not leaving anything left in the tank. They're leaving it out on the field. Now, they still have an opportunity in game number 2 to go out there and perform and make another stronger case for themselves. We'll see how that's going to turn out. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the Saints joint practice against the Rams? What were the highs and lows in your opinion? What do you think about the quarterback competition from both quarterbacks, giving it everything that they have? Comment down below, like and share this video. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. You can follow me on X at TJAYJones8, and also check out the State of the NFL that is available on YouTube.com. Search the State of the NFL. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?